What's up, guys? Welcome to the second take. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jonah.
And we're back. We're going to do the same thing as last week, pretty much. Just some more NFL, make our picks again. Jonah's still kicking my ass, as we'll find out shortly. And then we're going to do the Western Conference NBA over-unders. We did the Eastern Conference last weekend. So we're going to kick it off with the NFL first. Jonah, you want to give the scores really quick?
Yeah, so last week we each went 3-3, but only got 2 points each because we lost our lock of the century with the Steelers over the Dolphins.
Jay Ajayi is apparently the next, I don't even know, someone good,
yeah,
Jim Brown.
I don't know what that was. The Steelers now this year have had like two total horrible games nobody was expecting, and they've looked dominant the rest of the time, so I'm not really sure what the deal is with them.
They're entirely known as a team that plays so far down to their competition, it's disgusting.
They do. And so the score right now, I'm still up by 8. It's 25 points to 17 now. It was 23-15 last week. So Zach still has some ground to make up.
And that was a really rough week, apparently. So
Exactly.
we're going to kick it off with the Vikings against the Eagles. And obviously the storyline we've all been waiting for, Sam Bradford and his return to Philly. I know Jonah's been marking this one on his calendar for quite some time. So we have the Vikings coming off a bye week, still undefeated. I don't think anyone would have said that was going to be the undefeated team remaining. I definitely wasn't going to say that. And the Vikings are 3-2. I mean, the Eagles are 3-2 after losing their last two games. Carson Wentz finally looks like a human. So, interesting game. I think Sam Bradford's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I don't know if it's going to hurt him or help him in this game. I could really see it going either way, kind of leaning towards hurting him a little bit more. But I am going to go with the Vikings because their defense is just filthy good. And if the Redskins and Ryan Kerrigan can sack Carson Wentz 5 times, I don't even want to know what the Vikings can do.
Yeah, I feel similarly about the defense. I'm taking the Vikings also. I think the Eagles are kind of overrated, and Wentz is in particular. I think he's better than people expected him to be, but I don't think he's as good as he's being hyped up right now. This feels to me with the Vikings defense like that game that even good rookie quarterbacks have, where they just throw 4 interceptions and look terrible because that's what happens when you're a rookie. It doesn't mean you're bad.
Right.
It's going to happen sometimes. And against a defense like the Vikings, I think I could definitely see that happening here. Like you said, I think they're going to get a ton of pressure on Wentz. So I think even in Philly, the Vikings win this game.
Let's really quickly just talk about rookie quarterbacks so far. So we have Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz. We had to mention Prescott at one point in this podcast, so I might as well be the one to do it. They've been.
I love that man so much.
They've been taking the world by storm a little bit so far, at least through the first 3 weeks. Dak a little bit more now, but there's this myth in football that when you have a rookie quarterback, you have to blitz him all the time and get pressure on him because it makes him rush. But in reality, that's the worst thing you could do because then it gives the quarterback man coverage and he can just take 1 second, figure out which receiver is going to be open in man coverage and throw the ball. Whereas if you just rush 4 and disguise coverage, then they have a much harder time reading it because obviously it's a lot different from college. So you always see these stats Carson Wentz is 80% completion percentage against the blitz, and then teams just keep blitzing him. It's the Vikings are smart enough and good enough defensively to not have to blitz to get pressure. So to just rush 4, maybe 5, and then disguise coverages, I think Carson Wentz is going to have probably one of the worst games of his career.
Right. I mean, it's the best of both worlds with the Vikings because I think the biggest issue that rookie quarterbacks have is they have trouble reading NFL coverages. Not
Exactly.
They have trouble handling the blitz. And so if you blitz, it's pretty easy for a quarterback to just go to his first read. I mean, any quarterback in high school can do that.
Exactly.
So if you, even if you give him another second and a half in the pocket, if you're throwing tricky stuff at him in the secondary, he's gonna throw interceptions. And I think that the Vikings can generate pressure while also doing that. So I think Wentz throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and the Eagles don't have many guys that can get open, in my opinion. I don't really think they have a receiver that I'd line up against and be like, wow, this guy's going to burn someone. So really the only people that could open on the team are like Darren Sproles and the rookie Smallwood. So like those are checkdowns anyways that he's thrown to off the blitz. So like I don't think there's any problem with just sitting back in coverage, disguising things, and confusing the hell out of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So next we're going to go to a matchup that I know everyone was looking forward to until the unfortunate news of Big Ben being out for probably somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks, although I've heard that he's going to try to play in, 3 weeks after they have a bye week next week, and then he'd try to play against the Ravens. That's Big Ben for you. But the Patriots obviously are coming in as a big favorite in this game with Landry Jones going to start across from Tom Brady. As terrifying as that is for Tom Brady, I'm sure, I don't really see the Patriots losing this game. I mean, the Steelers do still have Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, but Tom Brady just looks mad, and that's scary. So Patriots all the way.
Yeah, I think the Pats will win this one too. I don't even think it's going to be that close. I mean, the Steelers do definitely play up to or down to their competition, depending. So they're going to get up for this game, and if Roethlisberger was playing, I might call for an upset here. But I just think that angry Tom Brady is going to be too much for Landry Jones to keep up with. So I'm going to go with the Pats also. I would not bet against the Patriots
ever
against any spread even right now.
Yeah, Tom Brady had a relatively bad game last week. Not bad. The Patriots it was against the Bengals. It was closer than most people were expecting for a decent amount of time. The Bengals actually looked like they were going to win the game for a short period.
The Pats ended up covering, of course.
Yeah, the Pats doubled their score, and Tom Brady ends up throwing for 370 and 3 touchdowns again. So that's back-to-back performances of 370 plus and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The secondary for the Steelers is young, inexperienced, and not that great right now, and that's not what you want.
Nope. What you want.
So then we're going to go next to, in my opinion, the best game this week, Seahawks and Cardinals. Cardinals are finally starting to pick it up, and it's no coincidence that they look better as Tyrann Mathieu gets closer and closer to 100%. Got his first interception this past week. So that's going to be a lot more fun to watch than I think probably most people are thinking. This game is really tough for me. I like both teams a lot, and I think I'm going to give the edge just barely to the Cardinals.
So, okay, I'm going to go with Seattle here. I'm glad we disagree on at least one game this week. I'm going with the Seahawks. I think the Cardinals definitely are starting to pick it up. I think this game will tell me a lot about Arizona. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about them yet. I think this game will kind of be the turning point there. I'm surprised that they're favored in this game, based on how they've been playing. I mean, they did just beat the Jets pretty substantively, but that was the Jets.
Right.
So, and the Seahawks have looked really good apart from, since the first couple weeks they've looked really good.
Basically, since they lost to the Rams, they turned it back up.
Right. So I think Seattle will win this game. I think it'll be a good game. I'm not totally convinced by Carson Palmer right now. I think that last year might have been kind of an outlier career year from him.
Yep.
So I'm a little worried about him for this team's prospects to win the Super Bowl. But even just for this game, I like Seattle's defense even on the road.
Regardless, it's going to be a great game to watch, and much better than that snooze fest of the Texans and Colts past weekend.
Yeah, I was watching anything but that.
Even though it was a good close game.
It was, yeah. Osweiler led it down the field.
Speaking of Osweiler.
Oh yeah, good segue.
Yet another return. Brock Osweiler coming to Mile High to face the Broncos, the team he spurned in the offseason. I don't know who spurned who more, but so Jonah had a lock of the year last week with the Steelers. This is my lock of the year with the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to beat the Texans almost so that they're unnoticeable by the end of the game. I expect Von Miller to have 4 or 5 sacks, Aqib Talib to have a pick or two. This defense, I think, is going to get all over Osweiler. I think Osweiler's going to start to force a lot of stuff to try to show people like, oh yeah, I'm worth the $72 million that you wouldn't give me. So yeah, good luck. You're done.
I also have the Broncos winning. I think Houston will probably cover this spread in my opinion, which is 9, just because I think it's going to be a very low scoring game overall. Like I could see a final score of like 17-10 maybe. Like I don't think there's going to be a ton of scoring in this. I think Osweiler is certainly going to struggle a lot. And so that's why I think Denver's going to win. Like I just don't think Houston is going to really be able to create much of anything at all against this Broncos defense. But I'm not totally sold on the Broncos offense just overall. I mean, for this game, it's fine. But Trevor Siemian hasn't quite sold me yet. So it's tough for me to predict a blowout by a team with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. But I do think they'll win this game.
Yeah, he looked bad last week, but I'm predicting that the defense outscores Houston, and then anything the offense does is just gravy on top. So
I could certainly see them getting a couple of defensive touchdowns while Houston scores no more than 10 points.
Exactly. So that's all I'm counting on. So now we'll get into our locks and upsets. For our lock, Jonah and I are both gonna go. Or no, just kidding, sorry. I'm going with the Bengals over the Browns. Jonah would do the same thing, but he's just going to be a little different so that we talk about two games instead of one. The Browns are 0-6. I don't really see anyone. I don't see the Bengals becoming that one win for the Browns. Jordan Poyer, the pride of 518 after dating Rachel Bush, is out with a lacerated kidney. So, sorry, that's over. Yeah, there's no. I mean,
for Cleveland because they might have to play him at quarterback this week.
Dude, Cody Kessler looks really good. I don't know.
I liked Cody Kessler coming out of college. I was like, why hadn't somebody picked him already? Like, I was surprised that he lasted as long as he did.
He legitimately played well enough last week for them to beat the Titans if they had any pulse on the defensive end. He threw for 340 and 2 touchdowns. When was the last Browns quarterback to do that? Probably never.
Probably, it's quite possible that's never happened.
So, I mean, they might have found someone here that can play quarterback. They just need to find other people to play on the field. When your best wide receiver is a former All-American in college at the quarterback position, you probably aren't that good.
I love this story with Terrell Pryor.
So do I, and he's amazing, but you still should have a better receiver than a quarterback from college.
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised they didn't throw him in at quarterback. I guess they need him at receiver. He can't throw passes to himself. So.
Yeah, well, like 2 games ago, they played like 4 or 5 different guys at quarterback, so whatever. They're a mess.
That's when Charlie Whitehurst had to come in. It was fantastic.
And then he got cut the following week, so it makes total sense.
So for my lock this week, I'm going with tonight's game, which is taking Green Bay over the Bears. This is obviously one of the oldest and sometimes the most intense rivalries in the NFL. Green Bay has obviously not looked good lately. They certainly didn't look very good against my Cowboys last weekend, but the Bears are just a really bad football team, and they're playing at Lambeau Field, and I don't see any way that Aaron Rodgers loses this game, so I'm going with Green Bay.
Yeah, it's rare that Green Bay looks bad 2 weeks in a row with him as quarterback, so they should definitely turn it around. So next, we got our upsets. You want to go first in this one?
Yeah, so we're both doing the same upset here. There weren't a lot of good picks. Like our rule for upsets is that the team has to be an underdog by more than 3 points, and most of the spreads this week were kind of within that range. So we're both going with the Chargers on the road against Atlanta. It violates our
every rule we've ever had.
Every rule we've ever had. It's a good home team. It's a West Coast team traveling east for a 1:00 game. It's everything that we advise against, but
they're better than the Saints.
Right? Yeah, it was either that or New Orleans over Kansas City, and we think the Chargers are a better team than the Saints are. They've had some good games. They've hung tight with good teams, even though they've lost the games. So still not sold on the Falcons' defense. I think Rivers can throw for a lot of yards in this game. I think this could just kind of end up turning into a shootout that anybody could win.
Exactly, and I can guarantee you that it's going to be close in the fourth quarter with the way the Chargers have played, where they're winning almost every fourth quarter. They're like the Giants of last year. Win for 3 quarters and then blow it at the end. So
Yeah, they have been doing a lot of that.
I feel so deeply for all you Chargers fans because I can't even tell you how close to the edge I was last year.
Yeah, they've tried to find every possible way to blow a game.
Yeah, like if you just cut the fourth quarter out, the Chargers are probably undefeated. But like, obviously that's not possible.
I would actually like to see that. That might be true. Their record would easily be a lot better. There's some good players on that team. Like, they're not significantly less talented than the Falcons are. The Falcons are playing well, but
if you think of Week 1, they were beating the Chiefs 21-0, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what the heck's going on here?" Maybe the Chargers are legit, and they lost the game.
Yeah, it's a shame Keenan Allen's hurt because that's.
Yeah, but I mean, Phillip Rivers is good enough to throw for a lot of yards against the Falcons, like you said. So.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so we are going to do the Western Conference in basketball now, over-unders. Basically just like we did last week with the Eastern Conference.
Okay, so first up this week is the Dallas Mavericks. Their over-under is set at 40 exactly. Do you want to start?
Sure. So this has become one of my least favorite teams in the NBA in the offseason. I already didn't really like them last year, and then they added 2 of my least favorite players in Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut. However, they did counter that with Seth Curry, who is one of my favorite players in the NBA. So,
why's that?
Ties to colleges that I enjoy.
I figured that might have something to do with it.
Also, quite the good lineage in his family. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like this team very much, but I think they are slightly better than they were last year. Wow. Am I going to say over? I don't want to say over. I'm going to go under. I can't say over. As bad as I probably should, I can't say over. So I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I'm also going to go under. I think this is the year that Dallas finally doesn't make the playoffs. I mean, Dirk is going to have some decline at some point. I think Darren Williams is not going to play as well as he did last year.
And Harrison Barnes sucks.
I think Harrison Barnes is terrible.
Thank you. Finally.
And yeah, so I just think there's a lot of injury risk with this team, with a lot of aging guys. Wes Matthews obviously has had injury issues too.
Yeah, I mean, is he their best player?
Matthews?
Yeah.
I think Dirk still is.
You think?
I mean, he played pretty well last year, but like he's going to fall off more eventually.
I mean, you think he has to, but his play style would lend you to think that it's almost impossible for him to be bad.
Dirk, you mean?
Yeah, because like you can hit elbow jumpers until you're 70 if you want.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he has that unblockable shot, so
exactly.
He can use a lot of athleticism and it'll still work. But I don't know. I think Rick Carlisle might be their best player, to be honest.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, this team always just pulls wins out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel a little bit hesitant going under here, but that's what I'm going to do.
And Jonah's on the Rick Carlisle ship. He's always wanting Rick Carlisle to at least be up there for Coach of the Year. And he thinks he's one of the best coaches in the NBA.
He just takes these like untalented teams and he gets them to 46 wins in the 7th seed every single year. So next up we got the Denver Nuggets at 37.
So you want to go first here?
Yeah, that feels a little high to me. Not necessarily because there's not talent on this team, but like. Just like I was saying last week with the Eastern Conference, like some teams are going to be really bad. That's just the way that it's going to be. And just looking up and down the Western Conference, there's only a couple other teams I see that I think could be really bad. So I'm going to go under on Denver. There's a lot of guys I like on this team. I like Jokic a lot in particular. I think he's like a modern NBA center. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him. But I think there's a good chance that they trade a bunch of people at the deadline. I think there's a good chance Reed and Gallinari are not on this team by the end of the season. So they have some good young guys, Will Barton, Gary Harris. But I think that they'll probably be short of 37 wins.
Yeah, I like a lot what you said right there. I really like a lot of the players on this team. I think they have a lot of talent. I just don't know if they're going to be able to put it together. Gallinari is still a really good basketball player. The Knicks have a habit of trading away their best players.
We do.
He's one of them. Yes, I have noticed. You traded away David Lee after he had like the career year for a Knicks forward.
You traded away quite a lot of people. Picks that turned into people.
Exactly. I've been on record saying I think Jamal Murray might be one of the best players in the draft class. He's struggled.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah, he's struggled really bad so far. Like they just played the other night against the Thunder, and he went 4 of 16, 0 for 6 from 3. It's been a lot like that for him so far. I hope he gets it going. I don't know if he's going to play well this year, but I think in the future he will definitely become a very good basketball player. But then, like, Gary Harris is a really good basketball player. Emmanuel Mudiay is a really good basketball player. Darrell Arthur, Wilson Chandler. So there's a lot to like. But I do think that in the Western Conference, it's really hard to get close to 40 with all the talent that there is there. I think 37 is a really good number. I think they're going to be really close to that, but I'm going to go just barely under.
Yeah, I think there's good players on this team. Like this could be a playoff contender in the East, but
exactly,
there's just not stars on that team.
Right.
So next up, we have the Golden State Warriors at 66.5, which is the highest over/under I think since they've been doing these ever. So there's lots to unpack with this one.
Yeah, so, I mean, we got some additions in free agency. Zaza Pachulia, David West, JaVale McGee, can't forget him. I feel like I'm leaving a name out, though. Oh, right, Kevin Durant. Holy Jesus. All right, so what do you talk about when you have a team on any given night, 4 of the 5 starters can drop 30 or more on your face? You don't really talk about them because they're just as good as advertised. It might be better than advertised. I don't know. People have said that they're going to struggle and that Kevin Durant might not fit with the team because he likes to have the ball in his hands. And if you've watched even 5 minutes of them play in the preseason, it's been the exact opposite. The team has, like, they score 120 points every single night, and that's probably a low number for them.
Beethoven. It's like classical music. It's so beautiful.
It really is. It doesn't matter if you played basketball, if you've never played basketball, if you don't even know what basketball is. If you watch them and you watch somebody else, you can clearly tell that there's a difference. It's over, dude. It's over 66.5. They might beat their record from last year without even trying to beat their record. They are potentially the best basketball team that I've ever seen.
So my first thought with this line was that's too high. You can't bet on a team just having to win 67 games to win your bet. Because how many teams have ever won 67 games? You know, that was my first thought. But then when I thought about it some more, I thought, how, like, in order to lose this bet, you have to look and say, okay, some team is going to have to come out there and beat these guys 16 times. And I don't see that happening. There's just, I just don't see it. I mean, they're going to rest guys.
All right, so
but it doesn't matter. They could rest guys during the game and constantly have 2 superstars on the court all the time. They could rest guys for whole games at a time. Just have everyone just play 3 out of every 4 games, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Because you still have 3 superstars all the time. So they can do that resting pattern to stay fresh and still easily beat this over-under, in my opinion.
So, like you just said, they need to lose 16 games in order to go.
Who's beating them 16 times?
Well, here's the thing. There's no way they lose more than 3 games at home. There's absolutely no way. I will sign my life to the fact that they will not lose more than 3 games in Oracle. So that means they got to lose 13 times on the road. Maybe 5 times is like pushing it, but like they're not losing 13 times. There's no way they're losing 13 times on the road. They're too good of a team to lose 13 times on the road. And then, fun fact for you, the Warriors are the first team in NBA history to have 4 reigning All-NBA players on their team at the same time. 4.
Oh my God.
4. And 3 of them were on the team last year. Like, it's not like they just added the whole new starting lineup. It's like they added 1 player.
Right. I mean, this was a team that was. I mean, they didn't win the finals last year, but over the last 2 years, the best team in basketball for sure.
They were the best team.
They broke the regular season wins record last year. Like, they were the best team in the league last year.
Yes. Just because they didn't
finals, but they were the best team.
Yeah, just because they didn't win doesn't really mean anything. It just means that LeBron was hungry.
And there's a clear top 3 players in the NBA. It's Curry, Durant, and LeBron. I think most people would agree with that they're the top 3.
Yep.
And now the Warriors just added another one of those guys to already the best regular season team in the history of basketball. So, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sold on the over there.
And we've yet to talk about Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Ian Clark, David West. Klay Thompson really have yet to mention. I mean, they still have Verja, who I think fits really well with that team. Their rookie, Patrick McCaw, has looked lights out so far.
Really good.
Yeah, might not get more than 10 minutes a game, but it's going to be a dangerous 10 minutes. Kevon Looney, who I thought was going to be fantastic for them, is playing now after being injured all last year. Like last night, he had 10 points in 15 minutes. Like that's how the Warriors work. The only thing that I think is a problem is rim protection because they don't have any of it. I mean, I don't really think JaVale McGee is going to be on the roster. Maybe, but even then, it's not really that big of a difference. So Zaza Pachulia, David West, Draymond Green, those kind of guys don't really protect the rim. So that could be a little bit of a problem, but I mean, if you got to score 140 to beat them, so good freaking luck.
Yeah, it's not the worst problem to have. If that's your worst problem, is like, well, we might not be able to protect the rim super well, then like.
But we can score 150, so.
Right, they can score literally 150, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so.
This team is really, really good.
So best of luck to everyone that plays them, but I'm just gonna sit back with popcorn and watch everything that they have to offer.
Oh, absolutely. So next up, we've got the Houston Rockets. Their over-under is at 44. Now this is interesting because obviously this is a very interesting team. Like, this team is going to outscore every team in the NBA besides the Warriors, I think. Because they now have Coach Mike D'Antoni, who's like an offensive-minded head coach with a whole bunch of offensive-minded players.
Hey, how do you work in New York?
Not well. They're hoping they get the Phoenix D'Antoni, because the Lakers D'Antoni wasn't so good either. Yeah, I mean, this team is going to be the second highest scorer in the league and probably the worst defense. So it all comes out to somewhere around the middle of the pack. So 44 seems pretty good. That's a good line there, 44. That's like about probably where I'd put it. But I'm gonna lean over because I think James Harden is going to just keep this team in a lot of games. I don't think this team is going to go far in the playoffs or anything, but I'd probably put them around 45 wins.
Yeah, I think they're going to be over too. I think this team has a chance to play themselves into like the 4 or 5 spot. James Harden became the labeled point guard, which is what he was anyways. They just changed the name, I guess, of his position, whatever. That doesn't really matter to me. But Eric Gordon, I think, is a really nice addition. Ryan Anderson, so we have the Pelicans 2.0. And then their bench is like, it's an interesting bench because it's somewhat deep, but also somewhat skeptical about it. Corey Brewer, Montrezl Harrell, Gary Payton II. That sounds so weird. Why can't it just be Junior? Whatever. Tyler Ennis, KJ McDaniels. So, like, they got some talent. They signed Nene also this year from the Wizards. So, I think, like Jonas said, they're going to score a lot of points. But I think they're going to be over and have a legit chance to get up into, like, that 4 or 5 range.
Yeah, I mean, last year everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. They don't have the Dwight Howard chemistry black hole anymore. So, yeah, I think Ryan Anderson's going to be good for them. I mean, this team isn't going to play an ounce of defense, but I like Clint Capella a lot. He's like super athletic, so it's an exciting team. I'm looking forward to watching them.
And
I think 44 is about right, but I think they'll be a little above that.
And James Harden will definitely finish in the top 3, if not top 2 of MVP voting. So that's gonna help.
So next up, we have the LA Clippers. Their over/under set at 54.
Wow. So this team is basically the same when you look at them kind of quickly, but if you look a little bit deeper, their bench is like 1,000 times better than it ever has been, which has always been the Clippers' problem. So they added Mo Buckets, re-signed Austin Rivers, added Raymond Felton, added Allen Anderson.
Felton.
Yes.
The king.
To go along with Bryce Johnson, another one of your favorites.
Yeah, I love
wow, this team might be our favorite team between JJ Redick and Austin Rivers and Diamond Stone. I have Diamond Stone on this team too.
Yeah, I got Bryce Johnson. I love Paul Pierce.
And you have Raymond Felton.
Was my favorite player when I first started watching the NBA. Is Chris Paul.
Yeah, so we have ties to a lot of these players, but I think that this team, I think they're going to be good. They still are in desperate need of a small forward. Luke Richard and Bahamute and Paul Pierce, to me, just don't get it done. I know you love Paul Pierce, but
love Paul Pierce.
I mean, he's a little up there in the numbers.
Sure.
So you said 54?
54. They won last year for reference.
They won what?
53 last year for reference.
Yeah, so I'm going to go under and probably like right 52, 53. I think they're going to be good. Like they have too much talent on their roster not to be good, but they're getting up there in age kind of, and they've never really put it all together. So until I see differently, I'm going to have to believe differently.
Okay, so I like the over for the Clippers, and it's because of what you just mentioned. I think their bench is a lot deeper than it was before. Another big reason is there's a competitor gone. You know, like there's a clear top 4 last year in the West that were all battling it out, which was the Warriors, the Spurs, who were still up there, the Clippers, and OKC. And OKC is not going to be horrible this year. They have certainly some good players still, but they're not going to be up in that top tier anymore. So I think that taking that team out is worth a couple of wins on its own. I think their bench is better. I don't think they'll be radically above that, but I can see them winning like 57, I think. So I'm going to go over for the Clippers.
Okay.
So next we have the crosstown rivals, the lesser-known Los Angeles team, the Lakers, at 25.5. So last year, I'll start doing this for reference. Last year they won 17 games. They were last in the West and second to last in the entire league.
And is that the second lowest number behind the Nets?
The Sixers is also lower.
Okay.
But it's the third lowest.
Okay. Is it my turn or your turn?
It's it's my turn. Cool.
All right, there you go.
So I, in spite of myself, kind of enjoy this Lakers roster.
Thank God you said that, because I really do too.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys I like on this team, and I don't know if the pieces will fit totally, but like, I think getting Byron Scott out of there as quickly as possible is worth like probably like 19,000 wins by itself. Because he was the worst coach in the league last year. I think by a pretty solid margin. There are all these quotes where he'd be talking to the media. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really believe in 3-pointers." Like just like crazy stuff that you should never hear a coach say. Just like so, he was so bad. And they added Brandon Ingram, who I know you love, obviously. So he's there. Julius Randle should be more healthy. I like Julius Randle a lot, despite him coming from Kentucky, my second least favorite college basketball program.
Same color as your first least favorite.
Yeah, it's very true. But yeah, I like Julius Randle a lot. If D'Angelo Russell can stop beefing with Nick Young. He could be a super good point guard. There's a lot of weird stuff going on this team. Like, I like Jordan Clarkson. There's just guys I like on this team. I think that the Mozgov signing was like a bit of an overreaction, maybe, because like they're paying him a lot of money. But I mean, 25.5 is not a lot of wins. You know, like you don't have to have a great season to top that. I mean, you have to finish 26 and 56.
Right.
So I think that's attainable with this team. I think they have a better coaching environment now. They've added another guy who should be a stud in Ingram. So I'm gonna go over for the Lakers.
How could you possibly go through that whole entire thing and not one time mention Yi Jianlian?
Oh my God, Chairman Yi! I forgot.
He's back, so there's that.
He's gonna be their starting center for long. He's looked good. He's gotten great reviews preseason.
Yeah, I mean he's not bad.
We'll see if that continues. He was like the 4th or 5th pick in the draft the year he came in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really, really enjoy this team, and I probably shouldn't.
I hate the Lakers so much. Like, it's unfortunate, but
it's kind of interesting to see the team that Luke Walton is making right here. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it does resemble somewhat the Warriors. I mean, you have Julius Randle, who is an offensive talent, who is athletic enough to play defense. Certainly not as talented defensively as Draymond Green, but same idea, same type of player. Fiery, young. Then you have D'Angelo Russell, who has really impressed me so far this preseason. I mean, he looks like he's going to make a name for himself, and it's going to be a name that's going to be in lights for a while. Jordan Clarkson is one of the best young players that we have, for sure. So that's kind of like the Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Splash Brothers idea. I mean, there's a lot to like here. Mozgov, I know you just talked crap about him, but if you saw him last night, he stuffed the crap.
No, he's fine. He's just like, I mean, he's not bad.
Yeah, it's just a lot of money. I know what you're saying.
Right.
But he blocked KD so bad last night. He dunked on Zaza Pachulia. He blocked Steph and then hurt himself. So, anyways, he was legitimately good for the Cavs 2 years ago. So, like, he does have the ability. Another Knicks player, by the way. I think they're definitely going to be over. They should be over. I could also see them being under, but they should definitely be over, and I think they will get into the 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some decent material there, if nothing else.
Right.
So next up we have Memphis at 44.
The Grindhouse. So this team.
Same over/under as Houston.
Okay. So this team is kind of interesting in that they're like the same as they have always been, and nobody really ever knows what to think going into the year, but then they find themselves in the 4-5 matchup every single year.
Every year. Never fails.
So I like their rookies. Wayne Selden, I know you like him.
Wayne Selden.
Baldwin from Vanderbilt. So, I mean, Deontay Davis, I don't really like that much, but still. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either of us do.
But Zebo is Zebo. Marcus All looks to be getting closer to 100%. Mike Conley got his contract, so we'll see what happens there. I mean, they got enough players. Vince Carter still is like kissing the rim on dunks at the age of 40. Like, no, I don't know how that's even humanly possible, but he's doing it. 44, just for the sake of numbers, I guess I'll have to go under that. But I still think they'll make the playoffs.
So this is going to be my 5th straight over, but don't worry, I have some unders coming lower in the alphabet here. I have it planned out so it'll balance roughly. So. But yeah, I'm going over on the Grizzlies. I like this team a lot, actually. I think Chandler Parsons is going to help them a lot if he can play. That's obviously a big if, but I think a lot depends on health of this team, but I think they've improved their depth with guys like Selden and Baldwin, like you said. I think they were a lot better than the 7th seed last year, which is where they ended up. So I don't think getting over 44 is a lot to ask for them. I think they'll probably win. I don't know. I think they'll probably be in the 4 or 5 game again. This is where I have them, honestly, which is a pretty boring prediction. It's the same thing they do every single year, but
a pretty Memphis-like. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the grit and grind Grizzlies.
Exactly.
And they're starting Michael Green. I heard he's going to be in their starting lineup, and they're going to bring Randolph off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, similar players. Just one is younger and healthy.
Yeah. It's interesting. So next up, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves at 42.5. I'm so happy I can start off with this team.
Yeah, this is where it gets good.
Yeah, because I don't know if we've really talked about the Timberwolves on here before, because when we started this, it was already the playoffs last year, so we probably haven't a lot.
Right.
But I have sworn that I will pick the Timberwolves to make the playoffs every single year until it happens. This is the 3rd year in a row that I'm doing it. I will stick to it. But I actually believe in it this time. I think there's just so much about this team that I love. Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, I know it's not exactly like a hipster thing to like because everyone knows he's amazing now. But this guy is like the next, I don't even know what. He scored. Okay, so this is in last night's preseason game against the Grizzlies. He scored 31 points in 24 minutes.
As a center.
Yeah, like these guys you don't see anymore. He's 7 feet tall. He can hit jumpers. He can rebound. He can block shots. He was the deserved Rookie of the Year last year, and I say that even though my boy Porzingis was the other guy in the race.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. He didn't even compare to Karl Anthony Towns. So there's like a transformational player on this team. He's Anthony Davis without the injury history. Knock on wood. And there's so much other young talent on this team. Gorgie Jang has looked really awesome in the NBA, which I didn't really expect he'd be that good in the NBA, but he really has been. We got Andrew Wiggins on this team. Obviously, Ricky Rubio is not going to space the floor very well, but he's one of the best pure passers in the league. And most of all, I think that getting Tom Thibodeau in charge of this team is going to be huge for them. Whether you like him or not, personally, whether you think he works his players too hard, he's going to get results out of this team, I think, that other people won't get. So I'm hopping right on the already crowded Timberwolves bandwagon, and I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm going over too, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of the guys you didn't mention. So Zach LaVine, I think, is one of the best young players in the NBA. He came into the NBA as just an athletic kind of freak athlete that was going to get up and down the court and make some highlight plays, and he's developed that into almost a James Harden-like ball handling and passing ability, and is making threes and is dunking like he's never dunked before. So I think he's going to be. I think he's just going to get better and better. Like Jonah said, Karl Anthony Towns scored 31 in 24 minutes last night. Zach LaVine had 18 in 29 minutes, and like for a non-focal point of the offense, that's pretty impressive. And then I think their backcourt is really good. Ricky Rubio, who has been mentioned really frequently in the last couple of days in trade rumors. I guess a lot of people are trying to get him. Minnesota won't really listen, although I think it wouldn't be the worst idea to listen. They probably should hold on to him just for the remainder of the season. But they do have Tyus Jones, Chris Dunn. They got some good guys behind him, so we'll see what happens there. Jordan Hill, Cole Aldridge, Brandon Rush. I mean, the Shabazz Muhammad. The name's really going forever. This team is really deep, really young, and going to be really fun to watch. This is probably the second best team to watch, in my opinion, behind the Warriors.
Right, yeah, I mean, obviously you can't beat the Warriors in terms of watchability, but I think this team will come as close as you can this year. So, next up we have the New Orleans Pelicans. Their over-under is at 36.5.
So, You would think that Anthony Davis by himself could equate to like 36 wins, but this team is really not good. Lance Stevenson, Terrence Jones, Shaq Diallo, Buddy Hield, and I guess that's it besides Anthony Davis. How could I forget Quinn Cook? I'm so sorry. I don't know. I mean, I want to think this team could be good because I want to see Anthony Davis succeed, and I want to see him in the postseason, and I want to see him like he was 2-3 years ago. But I just don't think this team has it, and I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under. I feel I'm not going to make a super passionate speech like I did with Orlando last week, but I feel pretty similarly about this team. Obviously like them better than Orlando just because they do have a superstar on their roster, and Orlando doesn't have anything approaching Anthony Davis. But you can't count on Anthony Davis to play more than 50-some games. Like based on his injury history, he's just had so many injuries, and they're not only focused in one area either. He's had injuries like all over his body. So I'm not confident he can stay healthy. And the supporting cast beyond him, I'm a big Buddy Hield fan. I've made that pretty clear. I think that his skills will translate very well to the NBA. But there's nothing else on this team. I mean, they're starting Terrence Jones, who was terrible last year. They're relying pretty heavily on a lot of guys who are just not very good basketball players at this point in their career. And again, some teams are going to be bad in the Western Conference, and I think that New Orleans is pretty clearly one of those teams. I'd be shocked to see them go 37-45. I mean, they won 30 games last year. Like, are they 7 wins better? I mean, you'd have to assume Davis plays a lot more than he did last year for that to be true, and there's no reason to assume that. So I'm going to go under.
I agree.
So next up we got Oklahoma City. Their over-under is set at 45, which is an interesting number. That sounds pretty good to me because like this team is still good. Like, this isn't like a situation with the Cavs right after LeBron left where they were just absolutely decimated. Like, there's still good players on this roster. Steven Adams is one of the best centers in the league. They added Victor Oladipo. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is still around. He's one of the top 6 or 7 players in the league. So this team has a very strong foundation to work from. And I think they'll be right up there in the playoffs again this year, I think. And it's not just on the strength of Westbrook. I mean, you could even see by the end of last year, Enes Kanter was making improvements, and I think they'll be motivated. I mean, I don't know, Westbrook is for sure going to be motivated, but even the rest of the team is going to be motivated to prove that they can be good without Durant. But for sure, circle any Oklahoma City Golden State game on your calendar because Westbrook is going to try to score 70 points, and it's going to be extremely entertaining. But I like this team a lot, but it's still tough for me to go over that. I'm going to go over very slightly. I'd have them probably at 46 wins this year. I think I'd tentatively put them in the 4 or 5 series against Memphis. That's kind of what I'm thinking for them. I think they'd probably be about a 5 seed, but yeah, I'm going to have them slightly over.
I'm going to go under. I just think this team is one of the cases where the parts don't add up the way that you think they would. I think individually a lot of these players are pretty good. Like, obviously, Russell Westbrook's a beast. Oladipo, I think, is very good. Sabonis is one of my favorite players. He's one of your favorite players from this draft.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't mention Sabonis. I love Sabonis.
Yeah, he's going to be a superstar. He's going to fit in really well on this team, too. Like, he's currently starting with Steven Adams. That's a really, really, really good 4-5 combo. Roberson was impressive in the postseason, but I don't know if he's going to play that same way for the whole year. But he's going to get you. He's a stat sheet stuffer. So that'll be impressive to watch. But I don't know. I don't really like a lot of the players on this team. It seems like they were
they had a good plan at the beginning with what they were going to do after KD left, and then they started grasping at straws. Like Joffrey Lavernier from Denver doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Then they still have like Ersan, Kyle Singler. So I don't know. I just think they're going to be.
Kyle Singler right now?
Yes, he's really bad. in the NBA, he's really bad. He was really
that's
bad.
That's the same thing as me saying Harrison Barnes is bad.
Right. But at least
it's just a guy from our school that, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We did it.
Right. But yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit worse than that. But like Jonah said, not only will the Warriors Thunder game have a lot of storylines, but Russell's going to give a legitimate run for Wilt Chamberlain's scoring title. I mean, he might shoot 120 times. There's no saying how many times it's going to go in, but he might put up a lot of shots.
Yeah, for sure. So,
please tell me it's Portland.
Would you still have them in the playoffs, do you think?
Oh, I could see them fighting for like the 7-8 spot. So I will say right now, yes, I have them in the playoffs, but I wouldn't be completely shocked to see them just miss. Because I'm
trying to square this a little bit because I want to put Minnesota and Utah both in the playoffs. That requires two teams dropping back out, and so I know one of the teams I'd have out is Dallas. I'm not sure who I want the other one to be.
If you think back to when KD was hurt for like almost the entire season and then played just in the playoffs,
yeah,
they were
the 7th seed, weren't they?
I think, yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Obviously, they're better this year. The surrounding parts are better, but the problem that I'm having is that I think Russell is going to try to do too much. And I think that's what's going to hurt the team as a whole.
It's going to be a test of the coaching in a lot of ways.
It is. And to have a young coach who's not really coached in the NBA and to probably have never dealt with an ego like Russell or a mentality like Russell, it might be difficult.
Yeah, for sure. So, next up we got the Phoenix Suns.
Damn it.
At 29.
You get to talk about all the good teams.
Yeah. Well, you got the Warriors to start.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
All right. It's my turn, right?
Yeah.
All right, Phoenix. No. What's the over-under?
29.
Wow. Somebody thinks they're going to suck. They honestly have talent. Like, they were really good when Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight were both healthy and were both playing well together. And Goran Dragic, but Devin Booker is one of my favorite players in the NBA. I don't know why. I hate Kentucky, and I don't have any liking to Phoenix either, but that guy is a superstar. Alex Len's from Maryland, so like I probably should like him a little bit.
I think Alex Len is so bad. I think we talked about this when he was drafted, which is a while ago now.
Yeah,
but
we did.
Like I was like, dude, I was like, this guy's not good.
Yeah. Dragan Bender, I don't think is going to be very good. I don't know if you saw the video of him traveling, but he traveled like 7 times in the span of 3 seconds because someone was playing solid defense on him.
But it sounds entertaining.
Yeah, you should watch it. I'll send it to you. Marquise Chris, Jared Dudley cannot play the 4 position, so memo to all NBA coaches, please stop asking Jared Dudley to play the 4 position. He's not good enough.
That?
I don't know.
This is the starting power forward on every depth chart I've looked at. Like
he's fat, slow, and can hardly shoot.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. That's their fault. Washington did it all last year, and they were terrible when he started at the 4. He cannot guard another 4, and he can hardly play it offensively, so what the hell? But Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight, you got to hang your head on that with Devin Booker. That's under. I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well, in part because I need some more unders here. But I'm also going under. They won 23 games last year, and I don't think they're better. I think Tyson Chandler's washed up. I didn't like what they did with their draft. Like Marquise Chris, like I get it with the upside, but he's not going to help them be better this year, really. Like you said, the Jared Dudley power forward experiment seems a little misguided to me. And I'm not a big fan of Bender either. So I think Devin Booker's great, but I don't know where the shooting's coming from besides that on this team. I like TJ Warren. I've liked him since college. But there's just not a whole lot of guys I really like a lot on this team. I think they're going to have a hard time shooting. I think they're not really improved from last year. Certainly not 6 games improved, so I'm going under on that.
All right.
Next up, we got the Portland Trailblazers. Their over is at 45.5.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the under on this team. I think that they won 44 games last year, so this is having them in a similar region as last year. I don't really think they're better from this offseason. I didn't really like the offseason moves a lot. They added Evan Turner, which, like, I'm unconvinced by. They're going to be starting off Farouk Aminu at power forward, which is similar, in my mind, to starting Jared Dudley at power forward. Obviously, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum is one of the best backcourts in the league, but their front court looks real weak to me, even with your boy Mason Plumlee there.
Watch your mouth.
I'm not a big fan of Myers Leonard. They added Festus Ezeli for a lot of money, which I don't see him working out outside of Golden State. He should have just stayed there and taken whatever they offered him. But I know it's dangerous to bet against that backcourt, but it would not shock me to see this team out of the playoffs this year. I think they'll probably stick around in the playoffs, but I don't think they'll be as high as the 5 seed this year for sure. I think they'll be fighting for one of the last couple spots. So I'm going to go definitely under 45.5.
Yeah, this is where we disagree pretty strongly. I'm going definitely over 45.5. I think this is going to be, right now I'm going to say they're going to be the 4 seed, but I wouldn't be shocked to see them slide a little bit to like the 5, maybe even 6. So everything you said is 100% right, except I think Damian Lillard is going to have the Russell Westbrook-esque mentality. He currently feels so disrespected by just like the All-NBAs and the All-Stars and all that kind of stuff that he's always been snubbed for. He truly is he's definitely top 10, probably top 7, and potentially even top 5 point guards in the NBA. And there are some really good point guards in the NBA if you actually think about it.
Yeah, they really are. It's a great time for point guards.
Exactly. And then CJ McCollum, I think, is only going to get better, and they play so well together. And always, it's kind of like how Steph and Clay, when one of them is cold, the other one is usually red hot because they just pick each other up. It's the exact same starting lineup as they had last year, and then they add Evan Turner and Festus Ezeli. I think Evan Turner can really help this team to just come in off the bench and handle the ball a little bit and let Dame and CJ run around, run off screens. So I think that can really be helpful for them. And Evan Turner can also score a little bit and post up. He's like the Sean Livingston of the Warriors, except just bigger and stronger. And Alan Crabb is someone I think is really good. Jake Layman, I think, will actually play for this team from Maryland, so shout out there. But yeah, I really like this team a lot. I think they're going to be closer to the 50-win mark.
Interesting. I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't know. I might just be underrating them because they don't have a lot of starry names. Like, that's possible. I just don't see a ton of talent on this team, and the Western Conference is tough, I guess. So I guess that's the only thing I'd say to that. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings. I know you're excited to talk about another great team here.
Joy.
Well, this is a fascinating team, despite how bad it is, I think. But their over-under is at 32.5.
Yeah. 32.5. All right. Let's count how many people on this team I cannot stand. All right. Willie Cauley-Stein, Ty Lawson, Scalabissier, Matt Barnes, Omri Caspi, Anthony Tolliver, and...
Omri Caspi's my boy.
Oh, come on.
The one Israeli dude at the NBA.
And
I got
freaking Koufis over here. I can't stand him either. All right. Rudy Gay is the second best player. You don't need to talk about DeMarcus Cousins because he's a superstar, whatever. He's really good. He causes problems.
Can we just talk for 1 second about the fact that in one locker room, we got DeMarcus Cousins, Matt Barnes, and Ty Lawson.
You think they fight every single day? Like as
man.
a fight
I
club
can't
kind of
even.
thing? And they have Isaiah Cousins, who was a little bit of a problem in Oklahoma. You could tell he's not quite put together right.
Well, luckily they'll probably be starting Jordan Farmar at point guard.
Ah, good. He's still in the league, right? Yes, Kobe's
He's in
sidekick.
the league again.
Oh, good.
Like he was out and now he's back.
Yeah, great. All right. They have in my mind, they have two things going for them. One, DeMarcus Cousins is one of the best big men in the NBA, and if anyone tells you this differently, they don't know how to watch basketball. Secondly, Malachi Richardson is one of my favorite players from this draft. I feel like I've said that 10 times so far, but like he's actually one of my favorite players. Ben McLemore is supposed to be really good, but has yet to show any vital signs of even breathing, let alone being good.
He needs to get out of Sacramento.
Yes. And everyone else on the team sucks. So, with that being said, I'm going under.
Yeah, this is such an interesting team. Like in terms of like the locker room, Scott Labissiere is here.
Who?
Jordan Farmar might be starting at point guard because like it's the same thing with Orlando. Like, how do you not have a point guard in this league right now?
And
It's amazing to me.
Rudy Gay is probably their second best player, if we're going to be completely honest. And there's a really good
Yeah.
shot he gets traded to Miami. So,
Oh, he's made it very clear he wants out of there. McLemore's agents are trying like hell to get him out of Sacramento because they know he's got talent, but it's being wasted. Yeah, I thought McLemore was really good in college, and like he hasn't really done a lot in the NBA. There's just a lot of weird pieces on this team. I don't think. I mean, I think it'll be well coached for the first time in a while. I mean, George Karl is a good coach, but he was not really interested in coaching this team last year. So I think Dave Yeager is going to be good for them. But at the same time, there's a lot of like potential problems on this team, and some of them are going to become problems. So I think as good as DeMarcus Cousins is, there's just not a whole lot here. They have like 4 shooting guards that are at least decent, right? They got Aaron Aflalo, who's on the team this year. They got McLemore. They got Malachi Richardson, and they got Garrett Temple, who's a pretty useful guy. He's like a 2-guard point guard type guy. So like, yeah, they drafted Isaiah Cousins. It's like how Orlando has too many power forwards. They have too many 2 guards. So yeah, I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein's around. He's a good defender, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going under on this team. There's too many potential roadblocks here.
yeah, absolutely.
So next up is the San Antonio Spurs. Their over-under is at 57. They won 67 games last year. So this feels a little disrespectful to me. Because, like, I don't know, the thing you could say about them, because, like, the loss of Tim Duncan is big, like, in terms of, like, oh my god, Tim Duncan's gone, but, like, he wasn't good last year, you know? I mean, he just wasn't that good at basketball anymore, which is fine. I mean, he was old. Like, everyone was surprised he was good for as long as he was. Like, it's not a problem, but I think, I don't know, I mean, Gasol's no spring chicken either, but, like, he should be an improvement over what Duncan was last year. The issue you could raise with this team is that everybody's a year older, and they have some older guys. I mean, Ginobili's now 39, Tony Parker's 34, and Gasol's 36, so they're going to be leaning heavily on those 3 players, not to mention Joel Anthony's on this team, and he's 34, so, like, that's a really important guy also. They added some guys that I think are going to be good. Dejounte Murray, everyone was like, oh my god, the Spurs did it again when they drafted him at the end of the first round. I think that Kawhi Leonard is coming into his prime as one of the 5 best players in the league, maybe one of the 4 best players in the league. He's awesome. He's amazing. They added Ryan Arcidiacono, who I guess made the roster. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of hype just because of his college career, but he seems like the kind of guy that like could be a good San Antonio Spur.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm intrigued by that. LaMarcus Aldridge I haven't even mentioned yet. So, like, there's a lot of talent still on this team, and the 67 wins is probably a little above their talent level last year, but I think talent-wise they're just as good as last year, and I don't think that that age that is going to make them 10 games worse unless there's a couple of significant injuries. So I'm going to go slightly over. I don't love it because 57 wins is a lot, but this is a team that always seems to get up in that range.
Yeah, I'm going to go over too. I don't know if the Spurs know, but there's other positions in the NBA that aren't just power forwards. Like, people actually do play the other positions. Since we've now had, let's see, David Lee, Pau Gasol, Marcus Aldridge, had Tim Duncan, had David West. Yeah, I mean, like, you can play a different position. So, they are really good. I mean, like, how can you complain about LaMarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol, Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Anderson, Tony Parker, Danny Green, Manu, Patty Mills? I mean, the list goes on. Deontay Murray. So yeah, like Jonah said, they're not 10 games worse. They might even be better. But it's tough to get to that 67 win mark without being significantly better. But I think they definitely will be over.
So we're going to end it up here with the Utah Jazz.
Finally, I get a good team.
A team that a lot of people are talking about this year. Their over-under is at 47.
So I'm going to pick right now this team as being... So I think Portland and Utah will be the 4 or 5 matchup. I don't know which one will be the 4 and which one will be the 5 yet, but I'm really intrigued in that matchup. They added Joe Johnson, added Boris Diaw, added George Hill to a team that...
I love George Hill.
Exactly. To a team that was already good. Dante Exum, I think, is going to take the next step this year. They have Alec Burks, Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors, Rodney Hood. How could I forget?
And Marcus Page.
Who?
They're both there.
Who's that?
Some guy you might have heard of. He's a pretty big shot.
Yeah, and then got one hit. Then
not win,
yeah,
still.
that pretty big shot that no one will ever talk about because it already
it was
is
such a good
forgotten.
shot, too.
But yeah, this team is really good. I really like them. Joel Bolomboy is another one of the rookies I really like. I think this team has a lot to like. They have a really good environment at home to play in, which gives them a lot of wins there. It's very hard to win in their building. They slow it down a lot, play a lot like the Spurs, which makes it, again, very hard to win against them. So they have a lot of things going in their favor. They've always been the kryptonite to the best teams in the West in terms of the regular season. They obviously haven't really done anything in the postseason in a long time, but I think this is the year. I think they're going to be really good, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, so you're taking the over, I assume.
Yeah, what was it again?
47.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
I'm taking the under, and that's with the caveat that I also like this team a lot. Like, I don't think they're bad at all by taking the under. I like them a good bit more than I like Portland because I think they're a lot more well-rounded. Rudy Gobert is already one of the best defensive players in the league at center. Derek Favors is solid. They'll hope Gordon Hayward is going to be healthy enough when he comes back. That's one thing that worries me a little bit. This is just one of those situations where I'm just like a little naturally cautious, just like pumping the brakes a little bit. I think they'll probably win like 45 games. I think they'll probably be like a 6 seed maybe.
Yeah.
So I like them too. I just think 47 is a little high probably.
Gotcha.
Considering, I mean, last year in the West, only 4 teams won more than that in the games. So it's no knock on Utah at all. I think they'll be a playoff team. I think them and Minnesota will be crashing the playoff party this year. But I think 47 is just a little much for them. I think they could get there in a couple of years if they're able to re-sign Gordon Hayward. But yeah, I'm going to go under 47 there. So let's just see which teams we disagree on for the West. Okay, so for the Clippers, you are under and I'm over. For Memphis, you're under, I'm over. For OKC, you're under, I'm over. And then for...
I'm sensing a pattern.
Well, yeah, for now. But then for Portland and Utah, you're over and I'm under.
Okay.
So in the entire league, we disagreed on 11 out of the 30 teams.
I feel like we're much more up in the air about the West than, like the good teams in the West than we are in the East. The East is just like the shitty teams that we disagreed on.
Yeah, we disagreed. Well, right, we disagreed on Cleveland and then a bunch of mediocre teams, basically.
Yeah.
And then, right, and in the West, the teams that we disagreed on, I probably have all 5 of them making the playoffs. So
exactly, yeah.
Not positive about Portland. I'm not sure if I can find room for them.
It might have to be Minnesota that gets kicked out. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I mean, I made a solemn promise to put Minnesota in, so I have to do that. I think I'll probably be taking out Dallas and Houston, I'm guessing. But it's hard, because I think, I don't know, I really think there's 10 good teams in the West and 5 bad teams. And
exactly.
And 2 of those good teams are going to not make the playoffs. It's going to be 2 out of... yeah, I mean, the only teams that you can really, in my mind, completely lock into the playoffs are the Warriors, Spurs, and Clippers. I mean, there are other teams that will pretty certainly make it, but I wouldn't lock them, you know?
Yep.
So it's going to be a great NBA season.
It really is. It starts on Tuesday the 25th, so we're 5 days away. What an opening night we have, too.
Yeah, the Knicks and the Cavs. Pretty excited for that one.
Of course you would pick that game to talk about. Other than that game, we do have the Jazz and Trailblazers, which is going to be a great one, and Spurs Warriors. So, yeah, get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, there's good stuff. Yeah, there's good stuff the next night, too. I mean, Wednesday the 26th, there's a lot more teams playing, but got some interesting matchups. We get to see new look OKC face off against Joel Embiid, who I'm super excited to watch. We got a nice Rockets-Lakers matchup, so there's a lot going on there.
I mean, I'm just happy basketball's back. That's a good time of the year when basketball's on.
Yeah, this October period, it's the best sports month of the year.
Exactly. So that'll do it. What are we gonna do next week? Anything good?
We could maybe do some NBA like playoff predictions if you want.
Or should.
I mean, I know that it'll be a game in for everybody, but I think that's still.
Should we go? Should we spruce in some football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, and hit all 4 American sports?
Yeah, we can hit all 4. The World Series matchup should be set by then, I think. I'm not sure what the NLCS schedule looks like.
They play tonight, so I mean, it should be relatively soon.
Well, right. It'd be tonight, then an off day. Yeah, so it will be set by then.
Yeah, so we'll be good. All right, we'll do that then. We'll hit all 4 sports and figure something good out. So we'll see you back here next week, and thanks for listening.